and for my extension project, I chose to research music and the brain. For my first question, I asked what aspect of the brain is most affected by music. According to a study called Emotions During Live Music Performance, Links with Individual Differences in Empathy, Visual Imagery, and Mood. Using the visual cortex, their study took 120 participants and made them watch a live opera. The participants would self-report how they felt after the songs and rate on a scale of 1 through 5 their ability to describe their emotions they felt during the music. In the end, the study found that live performance improves people's empathy and emotional capacity. As the show went on, their empathy and emotional capacity increases, which is proven during their self-ratings on a scale of 1 through 5. Showing that the longer you listen to music, the stronger the emotional capacity and empathy increases. And it relates to this class because during week 4 of class, we learned about the optic nerve, occipital lobe, and the path it takes to the LGN and visual cortex. In the study, the researchers mentioned how music improves the visual imagery, which is part of the occipital lobe. It was interesting to read about how all these points are connected when you're watching a live performance. For my second question, I researched, do different genres of music have different effects on the brain and behavior? In a study researched by Texas State University called Effects of Music and Grade Consequences on Test Anxiety and Performance, they researched test anxiety in college students and how music can affect their test performance. They had the college students split into 2 groups to take a challenging math test, and one group listened to calm music while taking the test, while the other group listened to loud, intense music. The results show that when listening to calm music, the students did better on the test than their normal test-taking environment, which is not listening to any music, and students that listened to loud music had their grades suffer because of it. Researchers believe that this is because the calm music relaxes the students and decreases their test anxiety, especially during a stressful math test, therefore increasing their test performance. This is true because the music activates slow breathing and low heart rate because of its calming nature from the autonomic nervous system. And it relates to class because in class we learned about the different nervous systems and that the nervous systems control your heart rate and breathing. If there was an intense song playing and your sympathetic nervous system would be activated, increasing your breathing and heart rate. For my third question, I researched, does emotion that is evoked when listening to music have anything to do with memory? For instance, I see on social media the videos of Alzheimer's patients listening to a song that was played at their wedding, and they start to sing along and even become lucid. So I wanted to know what the science was behind it, and if it can be used for synaptic pruning or neurodevelopment. And according to a study, they researched how music affects people with brain injuries during recovery. 7 participants who had previous brain injuries that had permanent, lifelong effects received 2 30-minute music lessons per week for 8 weeks. Results from the study indicate that piano increases neuroplasticity in the brain due to constant practicing of the instrument and, quote, thereby increases social interaction and well-being in patients with cognitive deficits. This was proven by the fMRI scans and interviews with the patient. In the interviews, the patients reported an overall improvement in mood and social life. And it relates to this class because in the research paper, they used, and quote, neuropsychological tests as described as the following: neuroimaging, semi-structured interviews, end quote. They specifically used functional and structural MRIs. In class, we learned about the study of neuropsychology and neuroimaging. Additionally, we also learned in class about the synaptic pruning and neuroplasticity in the brain, which is mentioned during the study when talking about the piano's effects on the brain. So in conclusion, music affects emotion, as we can see in the first research study, when talking about how emotion can how music can evoke emotions and imagery and increase mood. Music also affects cognition, which we can see in the last article, because it decreases synaptic pruning and increases neuroplasticity. And music can also be used as a recovery tool to help motivate and improve mood in patients. Thank you for listening to my extension project.